Now, opposition forces in the House of Representatives are not backing down from their resolve to contest principal offices when the incoming administration decides to inaugurate the 10th National Assembly. In furtherance to this, the Minority Caucus has put together a working coalition, or the greater majority, for the task ahead. We're now being joined by a co-spokesperson of that group, that's Honorable Afam Ogene, Labour Party, Anambra State, for a brief chat on the stance of opposition parties, members-elect on the House leadership race. Many thanks for joining us, Honorable.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Nigerians.
Good afternoon. Now, on May 2nd, the minority party, also dubbed the Greater Majority, met in Abuja and later issued a communique stating that a consensus member from among them will be nominated to contest the speakership position. What's happened since then to further your agenda?
Well, like you correctly stated, we did meet and given our numbers, which is higher than that of the Governing All Progressives Congress, and resolved to set a 13-man committee chaired by the Right Honorable Nicholas Mutu, PDP Delta, with my humble self, Honorable Victor Afam Ogene, of the Labour Party, as secretary of that such committee. Our task was simply to look within our ranks and find members who step forward for the offices of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. So,
thank you, first of all, for correcting, because some reports say that it was an 11-member committee, but those are just numbers. Can you give us an idea about the candidates that you've come up with as a result of setting up this 13-member committee?
No, you're not totally wrong if you say 11. The initial idea was to set up an 11-man committee. But at the end of the day, we decided to add a chairman and a secretary to the 11 that had earlier been nominated. So that is why you have 11 and 13 that are both correct. But ultimately, we were 13 in all. In the midst of making that search, the one-week time frame that we are given, some other motions came up from members who felt that it would be more appropriate and dignifying for us to play the role of opposition political parties in the House. They felt that it would be better than gunning for the spoils of office, in quotes. And I think that at some point their voice was domineering. I don't know whether that accounted for why members didn't put themselves forward any longer. So 2 nights ago, we called our members and gave them the position of things that, as it were, besides the fact that nobody stepped forward, we had decided in good conscience to concentrate to our assigned role, both constitutionally and by virtue of our numbers as opposition political parties, to hold the government and the House leadership to proper account. So that's where we are.
So since no one has stepped forward, are you saying you don't have any candidates at the moment?
Yes, but you also know that politics is dynamic. At the moment, we have nobody that we have put forward. But 24 hours, even an hour, is a long time in politics. So we are still there out in the open. If the indices are right, you never can tell. I know that many a speaker had been chosen right on the floor of the House. The night preceding inauguration of the House, you might think that it's going one way or the other, and only for some other candidate and his supporters to spring a surprise. So everything is still out there in the open.
Duly noted. Now, some analysts are saying that the threat which you pose to the APC is real, and in order to avoid a repeat of history with what happened at the 8th Assembly, where Dogara was elected Speaker and was not necessarily the party's preferred choice, are you confident that you might be able to accomplish something similar in terms of outcomes?
You can take that to the bank, that we are able, willing, and ready to accomplish a similar outcome, for the simple reason that every legislator, whether be you in the Senate or the House of Representatives, even state assemblies and amongst councillors, the first and most important priority is the independence of that legislative house. So when you microzone positions, such as speaker and deputy speaker, to individuals, you are simply affronting the independence of the entire legislature, in this case, the House of Representatives, where we belong. And so I can tell you that we are not ready to go with any individual so chosen by forces outside the House.
Noted. Now, some accounts suggest that, the opposition parties have little chance of upstaging and snatching the seat from the ruling party. If that happens, what would be your next course of action? Well,
first and foremost, we are all members of the legislature, members of the House upon inauguration, tentatively June 13, 2023. As soon as you are sworn in, you are a member. And I can guarantee that it's not all 360 of us that will hold positions. The fact that you are elected, you reserve and have equal rights with even the speaker. The speaker is just primus inter pares, even though we know the enormous powers of the speaker. So whichever way it goes, it's a game for leadership. Whichever way it goes, we remain honorable members and we stay true to the calling.
Duly noted. Now, clearly, I think you expressed that you're not necessarily thrilled with what the zoning formula has been regarding these positions. But if it were up to you, what would the ideal formula look like?
Thank you very much. The ideal formula is simply, within political parties, you are allowed, because of the peculiarities of our nation, to do zoning. Because even Section 14.3 of the Constitution has also said that the government or any of its agencies must be constituted in such a way not to leave out any section of the country. So zoning, in effect, is a political solution to cure allegations of marginalization, as it were, of political offices. But what we've had is zoning to particular geopolitical zones instead of individuals. This is a new law in our polity. And I'm not a member of the APC. If they put the wrong foot forward, I shouldn't be the one to cry for them. And obviously, they have put the wrong foot forward. And let me go further to state, the reason why opposition political parties must bind and stick together is for the greater good of our dear country, Nigeria. If you watch the pattern of flow, you will see that we are even tending towards a one-party state. In the PDP, for instance, we all saw what happened leading up to the 2023 national general elections. The PDP, the other camp that effectively divided the PDP, are today in bed with the APC openly. If you check the Labour Party, even today, the factional national chairman or somebody who feels that he should be national chairman was in court trying to even withdraw a petition that had been started even before your so-called assumption of office. And we know that these are shenanigans coming from outside of the Labour Party and the PDP. We also saw that only yesterday, the leader of the NMPP, Dr. Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso, His Excellency, has also met with the president-elect, and chances are that they will team up. So at the end of the day, if all these major political parties are emasculated, what happens to our dear democracy? We will end up heading towards a one-party state. And if the morning shows the day, then these causes should give cause for worry to any true lover of democracy. As it is said, external vigilance is the price we pay for enduring liberty. And that is why we are standing up to this misstep early in the day.
Now, since there are no permanent friends or enemies when it comes to politics, and you appear to be giving the APC sleepless nights according to some accounts, how certain are you that individuals from the minority parties that you've teamed up with will actually see things through and, you know, not probably go for self-interest at the end of the day?
Well, first and foremost, upon inauguration, we are all representatives of the Nigerian nation. Though we have our individual and different constituencies, our focus essentially is about the unity, strength, and growth of our country, Nigeria. So we also have people in the APC who even feel madder, if I have to say that, than some of us in the opposition political parties. I agree that politics is dynamic and fluid. Some others might go for personal interest, but at the end of the day, it depends on which side of history you want to stand on. So much we have people in the APC who feel that something wrong is about to be done, and when you complement those numbers with those of us in the greater majority who stand true to creed as an opposition group, I'm sure that we'll carry the day.
Well, speaking of the members of the APC that are not necessarily thrilled with how things are playing out regarding this, a coalition of various groups from geopolitical zones, they've actually asked the leadership of the APC and the president-elect to respect their individual positions, or they will risk a dramatic legislative display at the Red Chamber on the day of the National Assembly inauguration. In the event that it comes down to it, would you see yourself or the greater majority collaborating with such groups?
Well, when impunity, occurs, reason takes flight. Nobody is expected to obey an unlawful order. So what is happening in the House is also happening in the Senate. And surprisingly, even the senators, because the House of Representatives over time has proven to be the heartbeat of our democracy. Take away the National Assembly and we'll have an empty shell of a government. Under the military, they have executive offices, they have the judiciary. So it's only the legislature that the Nigerian people have, and they have to guide it jealously. If an individual or a group of individuals seek to hijack that institution, then democracy, which is about choice, is gone. If you have microzoned to individuals, then where is the choice? Where is the democracy? So if it were to be just about the opposition political parties, we will not be seeing the rancor going on in the APC. We are even governors, former senators, former governors, present governors, incoming governors. Virtually everybody who is somebody in the APC is going to the national chairman to lay one complaint or the other. You look at the composition. You take a deputy Senate president proposed to the Northwest. You also take a speaker proposed to the Northwest. What happens to the other zones? So like I said, I'm not of the APC. It is them to clean up their own mess. But our interest remains the independence of the legislature, because we know the enormous powers that a speaker wields. If he decides that a member may not speak for 1 year, so be it, because as much as you raise up your hands, he may decide to ignore you. So we need a speaker who, having been produced by the generality of members, will owe his powers to these same members. He's just a primus inter pares, though we know the enormous powers. And so one elected freely by members will not be reckless with power, as against one who draws his legitimacy from outside the chambers.
Duly noted, Honorable Afam Ogene, co-spokesperson of the Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives, known as the Greater Majority. It's been a pleasure having you on Newsday. All the best, and thank you for your time.